Hello everyone, today let's take a look on the new features in Revit 2025. So first we will start with the Toposolid, and first of the things is the excavate Toposolid setting. So as you can see here I have a Toposolid and I have a floor, and now you can select the Toposolid and use this tool to excavate the Toposolid based on different elements. So for example I can go, hit excavate, and I can select my floor, and we'll be able to excavate the Toposolid based on this floor. As you can see, it is pretty easy and pretty useful. If I want to undo this, I can select the Toposolid and go with the drop down to remove the excavation. Select the floor again, and then it will be removed. So as you can see, you can use now different elements to excavate your Toposolid. The next thing is that the shaft now doesn't cut through the whole of the Toposolid. As you can see here, I have a shaft created. And if I will go and make it a little bit smaller with my section box, you can see that now the shaft, the bottom of the shaft is, or the shaft opening is respecting the bottom of the shaft. So as you can see that when I move the shaft, the Toposolid is being cut accordingly, and it is not cut through all the way as it was in the previous releases. So I will turn this off. Then we have ability to host elements on Boolean surfaces. What this means is that, for example, here you can see I have my void. It is an in-place family generic model, and I am just cutting with the void into my Toposolid. And in previous releases, you were not able to place anything on the surfaces that are created by this cutting or these Boolean operations. But now if I go to my massing and site and to my site component, you can see that I can use this to place and host a family. It can be either planting on railings or other types of families. So this is pretty useful. Next we have a Toposolid smooth shading. What this means is that if I have a view, for example here I have my consistent colors, it looks pretty good as it is. But if I use shading views, you can see that now it is a little bit triangular. With the setting of smooth shading, which you can find here under the Toposolid model site, Toposolid smooth shading, if you turn this on, it closes, you can see now it is really nice and the visibility looks pretty good when compared to this setting turned off. As you can see, there is a lot of triangulation here visible. So this is really nice feature for the graphical representation of the Toposolids. So I will turn this off and go back to my consistent colors. Okay, what's next? We have a contour display when editing Toposolid. So if I go into my modify sub-elements, you can see that I still can see the contours here in the Toposolid even when I'm inside of my edit Toposolid mode. Then there is a really nice feature, and that is the ability to snap to referral objects, for example to this floor. So if I select my Toposolid and I go to modify sub-elements or add a point, now there is a new setting in here which is called snap XYZ, which is making it possible for you to snap to the elements. As you can see here on this edge, I am snapping to the Z value of the edge. If I turn this off, you can see that it is snapping to the edge in here. You can see it is snapping to the edge, but the placement of the point is actually on the topo surface. So as you can see, it is not being placed in the height of this edge, but it is placed on the height of the topo surface, on the Toposolid itself. So with this setting turned on, you can see now that it is giving me the possibility to place it in the Z value that is being taken from this referenced object. So for example, you can see now it has placed the element exactly here in this value. And this setting, snap XYZ, is also now not only for the toposolids but for all of the slabs. So if I go into my floor, you can see the same setting, snap XYZ. So I can use it to snap to different reference objects. And then the last thing which they did to toposolids is that they provided the ability to view and schedule the volume of the excavation of the toposolid. So here in this schedule you can see, I will make it like this, that we will see it at the same time. So now you can see that the total excavation of my toposolid is 221. If I will now use my excavate tool and excavate my floor, now you can see that the total excavation is being calculated with this new excavation. The one thing which is a little bit strange for me is that it doesn't take into account the shaft opening. As you can see, if I delete it, the total excavation remains the same even though the volume changes. If I turn it back, you can see the volume is something around 2600. If I delete this, is 2700, but the total excavation is still the same. So it is only counting the excavations with the excavate tool, or this one was created with the cutting. Okay, so I can turn this off. And now let's go to the next thing, and that is rooms. For the rooms, they have added one super useful thing, and that is more precise perimeter calculation. If we go to this room schedule in here, and I will make it again side by side, you can see that the perimeter is something around 45,200. And in previous releases, if I would make a wall, let's say generic 150, and I would make a wall like this, now you can see that the perimeter got bigger because it is calculating also this inner side of the room, or inner perimeter. In the previous releases, it was calculating always only this exterior side and not this interior side. So this is nice update for the precision of the scheduling inside of the Revit. Okay, next thing is walls, and that is auto join to adjacent walls. So if I go to my wall tool now, and you can see here some new features, and that is auto join and lock. Auto join and lock will auto join the two adjacent walls and lock them together. I would not use that because it is too much. I do not like to use constraints a lot, but this one auto join is really nice. If I turn this on, you can see that if I go with my new wall, okay, I will set it to be finish phase, let's say interior, and up to level 2. And if I go and draw it next to my existing adjacent wall, you can see that it will be automatically joined together, so it will cut through the openings for me. So this is nice time saver, especially for the exterior isolation walls and situations like this. The next pretty awesome thing is, which we will see in the 3D view, and that is in here, and that is enhanced attaching when there is only part of the wall being attached to something. So for example, here this wall, if I go with the attached top base, and I will go with the attached top, select my floor, you can see that it is now being attached only on this part. In the previous releases, it would attach the wall like this, the whole wall. Now you can see that it is behaving more accordingly as it should. So this is also a really nice update. Okay, the next thing is about the annotation, and this is also pretty nice. and you can see here I have some text. And if I select all of the text, and let's say that I want to make my text aligned like this in here, in previous releases I would have to do it manually. Now I can select all of the text, and now you can see here new settings for the multiple align. And you can use these multiple alignment settings for the text, and keynote. And you can see if I choose here, let's say left alignment, it will automatically align them together. So this is a huge improvement. Next, and this is also really huge improvement for me, you can now have a interior closed loop inside of the profile that is being used for curtain wall mullions. In previous releases, if I would draw something like this, you would not be able to have this inner closed loop in here, and you would only have to have this outer closed loop. Now they made it possible to make, let's say, hollow profiles. So this profile here now I have loaded into the project. And if we go to a 3D view again, here in this curtain wall, you can see this mullion, my custom type mullion. If I go to my profile, this is my family 1. So this is this profile which I have in here. This is the family 1 profile. And you can see that I was able to create a hollow profile inside of my Revit project. So this is a huge improvement over the previous versions. Okay, the next thing, and this is also a really huge improvement, is when it comes to family creation, that now you can have arrays of 1 or even 0 elements. What this means is that you can see here in this example, I have just some box, and this box is being arrayed with the array tool here, and you can see that on the number of the elements I have used a label for the number of elements, which is a parameter here defined in the family. So as you can see here I have a number 2. Now it works as it should, and in the previous versions this was the minimum value which you can put. Now I can go and change this to be even 1, and you can see that it works and it doesn't break. I can make it even 0 and it will still work and doesn't break. This is a huge improvement, because when you are creating more complex families and you need to calculate the parameter value for this array, you a lot of times have to use the arrays which will be of 1 or 0, but because of this limitation it was not possible in the previous versions, and you had to use workarounds. So this is really nice improvement. And the last two things which I want to show you, I will show on this sample project, because it comes to sheets. Now you can create sheet collections. So if I right click here, I can go with my new sheet collection. It will look like this. And basically what this means is that you can organize your sheets into sheet collections. For example, I can select these 3 sheets and I will just drag and drop them into the sheet collection 1. And now you can see I can make it smaller with this plus minus sign for this collection 1. I will create a new sheet collection, let's say collection 2, and I will place these other 3 sheets in here. And basically what this allows me to do is to have the same numbering for the sheets if they are in the collection. Because if I would try to number something, you know that you cannot have 2 same numbers for the sheets. But with the sheet collections now you can have duplicate number values. So if I will go here with the A100, you can see I do not get an error because it is in the different sheet collection. So this is huge improvement, that you can make the same numbering when it is in different collections. You can also use this collection for other things like filtering and so on. And you can use the collections also inside of the export to PDF. So if I go to my export to PDF settings and I want to select my views and sheets, and I will go and create a new set. Let's leave it set 1. Now you can see in this display filter, I can use my sheet collections to filter. So I will just turn this off. And let's say I want to use only sheets from the sheet collection 1. I will select them all and save current set and select it. So now I am selecting only my sheet collection 1 to my print set, and it will be printing all of the sheets from the collection 1. Okay, and the last thing, which is also, I think, a huge improvement, and that is the PDF export in the background. Here, in this setting, if you turn on the export in the background, and you leave it to export, now it will be loading a little bit. So we have to wait. But in previous versions, when you are exporting to PDF, you cannot do anything else because it is just exporting, and you would be seeing here the export. But now in the new Revit 2025, it can be exporting in the background, so you can continue working on your project. So it takes a little bit of time to start, but now you can see here, this is the background process. And if you click on it, you can see that in the background the PDF is being exporting, and I can still work on my project. I can open the sheets, modify views, and so on and so forth. So this is also a huge improvement. And you can see my PDF export is still being computed. And if we take a look at the result, you can see now all of the PDFs have been exported. So this is all, and I think that the new release of the Revit 2025 is pretty nice, and it has some pretty good features which can speed up our work a lot.